There was a day where family owned and operated meant something. It was a standard. It was a family legacy. It was, a name in a community. It was the whole family worked together, and it was important and it was valuable to them. And there were businesses that's still true, and in a lot of businesses, it's just an overused marketing technique. And what's I think is really interesting is on our next guest case, they really don't really go out and publicly state it, but this is one of the finest family-owned and operated businesses that I've had the pleasure of walking through the doors in. Here to talk to us about that is David Rich, son of Audie Rich, Audie's Quality Upholstery over here in Sparks, Reno area. David, welcome to the show, by the way.
Thank you.
I mentioned the family-owned and operated. You've been around cars probably since a young little whippersnapper, and you've also seen what goes into the core values that your father puts into his not just his business but his community and his family. So tell us a little bit about what it's like growing up in the automotive industry with someone like him.
Well, I've grown up with him since I was. I remember working with cars since I was about 5 years old, and.
You were telling me the first experience around cars was a disaster, though.
Yeah, my first experience, I was installing a headlight, and I remember I dropped it and I broke it, and that was my first experience.
And so that was about you were saying that was like what, 5, 6 years old?
Yeah, I was like 5 or 6 years old.
And so you've been around cars and some extraordinary machineries too. I might mention anybody who gets to the privilege of going into the shop over there. It is going to see some really exotic old classics and just tremendous vehicles, and not just cars, but just about everything else too. So, when did you get really struck by the automotive bug, where you knew it was in your genetic makeup?
Oh, I've just seen all the classic cars being around Hot August nights. Seeing my dad being a part of the community, he works the streets of Hot August nights in Sparks, and it's I don't know how to put it in words.
Well, it just happened.
Yeah.
You woke up one day and you're like, this is what I'm passionate about, what I love.
Definitely.
You just grew up around it, but it starts to feel like it's part of your genetic makeup, I'm sure, because that's how it happened to me. I mean, I got struck by the bug, and I've been at it for 34 years, or just day-to-day involved with automobiles. Can't help it. I love them, and I'm passionate about them. There's some, I mentioned before, that your dad has some really extraordinary core values, and I want to talk about that because I want people to know that the business they support is the people that they're supporting within that business. And your business really is one of the greatest examples. Your dad is one of the greatest examples of what a quality business owner looks like and how he acts within his family and community. He's walked through some very significant things in your personal life as well recently.
Well, he doesn't really treat customers like customers. He treats them like, when they come in as a customer, they're a friend at first, and we have a lot of customers that are like friends that go out to the lake with us now, and our customers become our friends. They're not just another name and number.
And this is true, though. I just want our community to know this is an actual fact of who he is as a human being. I mean, I don't know that I've ever really met somebody that is devoted as a husband, for an example. I mean, your mom has been through some significant issues medically in the last few years, and I just see a man that's so in love with a woman that he's been just an extraordinary example of what it looks like to care about a human being. And you're right, that really translates from that to how he treats people that work in his business, his own family and his community, and people that support his business. And it's really an extraordinary event. I think that anybody that comes in and they walk through the shop get that sense of value, of family value. And I want to. That's why I was saying that, the core fundamental value is family owned and operated. Sounds like a marketing strategy, but in this case, wow, this is really a significant part of this business. Let's talk about quality. I mean, it's used in the name, Audie's Quality Upholstery, but it's more than just a word there as well, like family owned and operated is. This is quality that goes into the final product. So let's talk about, what training goes into and what work goes into really doing a quality job in interior restoration.
Well, like on stitching, on welting, everything has to be straight and
we were talking a little while ago about the way patterns line up.
Patterns, you want the grains to all line up the same way. I mean, you don't want to have one grain going one way and another grain going the opposite way. You see that in the
and we talked about this, and this is actually a factual consideration here. So let's say you lay out a big square, and because we're on radio, I want people to visualize what this looks like to a shop because it costs money to line it up. When you say the grain, every fabric, leather, vinyl, whatever it is you're working with, there's a natural pattern in it, whether it's the way it's stitched together, it has lines in it, or it's got a pattern, or just
the layout of it.
The layout of the material, exactly. And if you've got a big square and you put two things out in the center of it, and there's this area at the top of it, a lot of businesses will take that other item and not waste that next area. They'll turn the other piece that they're trying to place sideways at the top of it to use that last bit of material to get the maximum profitability out of the job. But that piece the grain doesn't line up like you're talking about. So you can walk into to look at two cars side by side, and they both might have very attractive interiors in it, but one just looks nicer, and you can't put your finger on it. That's one of the basic things that you do is you'll line those grains up, and you'll use the extra material. Is that right?
Correct.
So, and then the other thing I think is really extraordinary is the buildup of the base underneath. And I've seen this again. You'd have to stand in these shops for decades of your life and go in and out of them and finally see somebody do it the proper way, where you go, wait, I haven't seen anybody do that before. That you can have an area in a seat, for an example, that maybe got gouged out or impressed by the body weight that was sitting on it. And a lot of shops, in order to rebuild that seat, will take a piece of foam and cut it out to fit into that area of that seat. But that's not how it's done at Audie's Quality Upholstery, is it?
No. We will take the seat. We'll strip it all the way down. We'll replace the springs if they're broken. We can. We'll build up the foam. We'll cut out the old foam that's worn down. We'll build up the new foam.
And then when it comes to even the, like you said, the precision of lining up the patterns, then it gets into using the highest quality materials.
The highest quality.
He doesn't skimp there. Recently redid my boat interior with material that is so much better than the original manufacturer put in my boat. You can feel the difference when you sit on it. And then it gets into even the threading, the quality of the threads, that whether or not that seam's going to stay together. I just don't think that a community really thinks, I'm just going to go get my seat fixed, that there's any difference from shop A to shop B. And there is an extraordinary difference in that. Tell us all the different types of items that you've seen done in your shop.
We've done exercise equipment, boats, limos, helicopters. I've seen, you name it. We've
motorcycle
seats.
Convertible tops is a big thing.
Convertible top is what our specialty is.
And one of the things that I want people to understand is not all convertible tops are created equally. He starts with the original equipment manufacturer's tops, not aftermarket products that don't always fit right around those back window areas where you can tell if a top fits right if you walk up to the back of a car. And then anything else I've seen, pool tables.
We've done pool tables.
Card tables.
We even make poker tables. We do furniture as well.
And custom work. So if somebody has something in their mind, a vision that they want to have, a company logo or something that they want to have impressed or laid down into the fabric or standing up out of it or raised image, he does all of that.
Everything.
So how would they get a hold of you over at Audie's Quality Upholstery?
Address is 1775 Kuenzli St. The phone number is 324-4431.
That's David Rich from Audie's Quality Upholstery. Thank you so much for taking your time to come in today. It's just great to have you on our show, and really a testament to how much your dad loves and respects you to have you come and do our interview. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.